Look at your windowsill right now. Are your seedlings turning a sickly yellow, curling up and drying out into brittle little corpses? You are watching your future harvest die, and it is entirely your fault. You panic. What do? You grab that expensive bottle of chemical fertilizer you bought at the gardening store. You think your plants are starving. You think they need a boost. Stop right there. Put that toxic garbage down. If you pour that poison into your soil right now, you will hammer the final nail into your harvest's coffin. I am going to tell you the brutal truth that those smiling fertilizer salesmen pray you never find out. Your seedlings are not starving. They are choking to death. Every time you water your tiny, vulnerable plants with those heavily concentrated chemical mixtures, you are creating a toxic wasteland in that tiny plastic cup. You are literally salting the earth. Think about it. What happens when you pour salt on a slug? It shrivels up and dies. That is exactly what you are doing to the microscopic root hairs of your seedlings. Those yellow leaves, that crispy, dry texture, that is not a nitrogen deficiency. That is severe chemical burn and dehydration. When the soil is overloaded with fertilizer salts, a deadly biological process takes over. It's called reverse osmosis, and it is vicious. Instead of the roots drinking water from the soil, the heavily salted soil actually violently sucks the moisture right out of the plant's roots. You are literally bleeding your plants dry. The sap stops flowing, the stems weaken, the leaves lose their turgor pressure, turn yellow to sacrifice themselves, and die. And you sit there, wondering why your expensive Miracle Grow isn't working. Wake up! The gardening industry wants you locked in a cycle of failure. They want you to kill your plants, so you have to go back and buy more seeds, more dirt, and more of their toxic elixirs. A seedling has enough nutrients stored entirely inside its own seed to survive for weeks. It doesn't need your chemical intervention. It needs you to leave it alone and give it the basics. So, how do we fix this disaster? How do you pull your harvest back from the brink of death? Listen closely, because I am only going to say this once. First, take that bottle of fertilizer and throw it directly into the trash. Get it out of your sight. You will not touch it for the next month. Step 2. The emergency flush. Your plant is swimming in a toxic soup of unabsorbed salts. We need to wash that poison out of the root zone immediately. Take your seedlings to the sink. Turn on the tap, but make sure the water is strictly room temperature. Cold water will shock and kill the already stressed roots. Pour pure, unchlorinated, or filtered water through the soil. You need to pour at least 3 times the volume of the pot. Let it run completely out of the drainage holes. Watch as the dark, toxic runoff leaves the pot. That is the literal poison you fed your plants, flushing away. Do not skip this step. Once the water runs crystal clear, stop. You have successfully neutralized the war zone. But the roots are heavily damaged and gasping for oxygen. Do you know what rots faster than anything? Suffocating roots sitting in dense, swampy, lifeless dirt. We need to revive them aggressively with oxygen. Go to your medicine cabinet and grab an ordinary bottle of 3% hydrogen peroxide. Yes, the cheap stuff you put on a scraped knee. Mix exactly 2 tablespoons of 3% hydrogen peroxide into 1 liter of pure water. No more, no less. Precision is key. This is your plant's life support system. Hydrogen peroxide is just water with an extra oxygen atom attached. When it hits the soil, it releases pure, raw oxygen directly to the suffocating roots. It will actively kill off the anaerobic bacteria that are currently rotting your plant's root system. It burns away the rot and leaves behind pure, clean water. Water your flush soil lightly with this peroxide solution, just enough to dampen the top layer. Listen to it fizz. That is the sound of your plant breathing again. Now, step away. The biggest crime you can commit right now is overwatering. The soil must dry out between waterings. Plant roots need air just as much as they need water. If your soil is still a heavy, dense brick of mud after 2 days, your potting mix is garbage. You bought cheap, compacted peat dust and it is killing your seedlings. If that is the case, you must perform an emergency transplant immediately. Do not wait for the right moon phase. Your plant is dying right now. Prepare a real soil mix. Take equal parts of high-quality compost, cocoa coir, and a massive amount of perlite. At least 30% perlite. You want it fluffy. Squeeze a handful of your new mix. If it clumps into a hard ball and stays there, throw it out. It should crumble and fall apart instantly when you open your hand. Gently shake the toxic, suffocating mud off the roots of your dying seedling. Be ruthless with the old dirt, but treat the roots like fragile glass. Repot it deeply into the new aerated mix. Bury it right up to the first set of true leaves. Tomatoes and peppers will explode with new roots all along that buried stem. Do not pack the soil down like you're pouring concrete. Leave it loose. Let the roots breathe. Now water it once, lightly, with plain water, and put it under a bright light. Now, here is the golden rule. You will not give this plant a single drop of fertilizer for at least 3 weeks. If you absolutely cannot control your itch to feed your plants, throw away the NPK chemicals. Use a mild organic root stimulant, something natural like aloe vera extract. Take 1 tablespoon of fresh aloe vera gel, blend it with a liter of water, and use that. It contains natural rooting hormones and 0 burning salts. It is a healing balm for damaged roots. Watch what happens over the next 7 days. The yellowing will stop. The crispy edges will dry up, but the center of the plant will violently explode with dark green growth. The stem will double in thickness. The leaves will become leathery, wide, and aggressive. This is what a healthy plant looks like when it isn't being poisoned by its owner. You don't need magic powders. You need discipline. You need to understand that plants want to live, and 9 times out of 10, the gardener is the biggest threat to their survival. If you follow this brutal rescue protocol, you will save your harvest. Those pathetic, dying yellow stems will transform into absolute monsters. They will develop root systems so powerful, they will shatter their plastic pots. They will hit the garden soil like predators, ready to suck up real, natural nutrients. And when summer hits, while your neighbors are crying over their stunted, chemical-burned twigs, you will be hauling in wheelbarrows full of massive, pristine vegetables. Buckets of tomatoes, mountains of crisp, heavy cucumbers, massive, flawless peppers. All because you stopped acting like a chemical lab technician and started acting like a real gardener. Stop being a victim of gardening store marketing. Take control of your soil. Flush the toxins, add the peroxide, and let your plants breathe. If you want the brutal, unfiltered truth about how to force your garden to produce record-breaking yields, hit that subscribe button right now. Do it before you kill your next plant. See you in the dirt.